Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right, everybody. Welcome to the weekly comic book review. It's the show where I read a lot of comic books, and I'll let you know what I thought about them. And we always start with the pick of the week. Let's get right into it. Heroes in Crisis, number 3, makes the pick of the week. Tom King, Clay Mann. You got the added benefit of Lee Weeks as a penciler on this issue as well. The art is fantastic. The pacing is fantastic. This book's been pretty interesting and very polarizing. The first 2 issues kind of happened post-incident at the Sanctuary Crisis Center in DC, in the DC universe. It was a little unclear what exactly was going on. We didn't really fully understand how Sanctuary operated or anything like that. That all starts becoming much more clear in issue 3. This book was by far the best of the series so far. Really starts explaining some things, really starts setting up how Sanctuary works. I really like this issue. It had all the emotional moments that you needed, that sense of tragedy, but a great sense of pace and a detective story. This is a flashback issue, basically, filling in some of the gaps of the information that we haven't had yet. Heroes in Crisis is a pretty cool book so far. I think 1 and 2, as polarizing as they were, I really did enjoy them, but issue 3 is really starting, the story's really starting to come together, really got a nice pace to it now. I'm very excited to see the direction of this book after this issue, very excited for what's going to be happening with the larger DC universe. Tom King is doing a great job. His dialogue, his sense of pacing throughout this issue, enhanced by Clay Mann and Lee Weeks on the artwork. Fantastic, phenomenal artworks in and of their own right, but with Tom King's sense of nuance that he adds to some of his scripts, like in Mr. Miracle and The Vision even. That's coming through in Heroes in Crisis. I really like this book. It's slightly a subtle book, but it's also a very big, banging, explosive type thing on an emotional scale. I really do like Heroes in Crisis. If you've been on the fence, been a little uneasy with issues number 1 and 2, I think 3 is definitely the one that's going to bring you back in. If you don't like 3, you just may not like the direction of the series. Me though, I'm loving it. Pick of the week, great art, great script, great emotional moments. Heroes in Crisis, number 3. We've got Aquaman Justice League Drowned Earth, number 1. This is Scott Snyder wrapping up this whole big Justice League Aquaman crossover they've been doing, Drowned Earth. Basically, these ancient sea gods from space show up and they flood the earth, and anybody that gets touched by this water becomes this monstrous fish that they control. They strip away Aquaman's powers and they give him the black mana. The Legion of Doom, along with Black Mana and Cheetah, they make their moves. They got the Tier of Extinction. You've got the Graveyard of the Gods. All this different kind of stuff relating to what Scott Snyder's been building up since he took over Justice League post-Metal, starting with that totality. This story so far, Drowned Earth, now that it's concluded, I don't like this story as much as I liked everything that came before that Snyder was doing with the totality. This feels a little rushed. It was all kind of done in 1 month between here and there with Aquaman. It was kind of hard to pick the absolute most important narrative to follow. A lot of the tie-ins kind of just had a little bit of filler here and there. The artwork seems a little bit rushed. Francis Manapul artwork in here, not as good as we're used to from that cat. Howard Porter's artwork feels a little rushed and cluttered as well. I just feel like DC kind of almost maybe wanted to throw this together and have it out in time for the Aquaman movie when that releases later next month. That's kind of what I think. I think it was a big, awesome, cool idea of a story that kind of got thrown together, rushed to fit in with the Aquaman movie release. That's just what I think. The ending is pretty cool. It's solid. It's decent. But like I said, just a little cluttered, a little clunky, especially in the artwork and some of the overly exposition-filled pages. Just a little bit. But I do like this story. I like the focus on Aquaman. It definitely does set up what's going to be going on in Aquaman's book starting next month when we got Kelly Sue DeConnick coming in. Aquaman's going to have a whole new vibe, a whole new gist, a whole new direction, and it's going to start right out of Drowned Earth. So that is out this week. Action Comics 1005. Bendis continues doing this more grounded Superman title. Action Comics really focusing more in on Metropolis. And the idea that there's this like invisible mafia that's been operating underneath Snooperman. Somebody needs to come up with that idea. Snooperman. He can snoop, right? He's like a detective, like Batman. So anyway, so right underneath Superman's nose, Snooperman would not let them get away. I'm getting way distracted. Right underneath Superman's nose, there's been this organized crime that's been going on in Metropolis. This has been elaborating on that. This mystery of the Red Cloud, it gets revealed in here. Not very surprising. Bendis is doing a great job. This is one of the weaker issues of Action Comics as far as I'm thinking, but it does have some really neat Dial H for Hero stuff, and yes, the question does appear in these pages, and that was very exciting because Ryan Sook's artwork is the best part of this book. It's amazing, it's cool. At times it feels like 90s Tony Harris, but definitely still his own style. Sook knocks it out of the park as far as the artwork goes in here. I'm still liking Bendis' direction on Superman. This is kind of a little bit of a lull, just a little bit. It kind of detracts a little bit from the story. Not enough Superman, but there's some great striking artwork in it. Action Comics 1005 out this week. Justice League Odyssey number 3 is here. So the artist Stepan Sejic, or whatever his name is, no longer on the book. So we got a new cat on the book, and it is Briones, Felipe Briones. Really do like the artwork. The artwork is crisp, it's clean, it's a completely different style. It's a complete 180. It's completely different. So if you were reading this book because you were a fan of the artwork, you're going to be taken aback. If you're reading this book for the story, I applaud you. Me personally, just can't get into it. It's interesting what Joshua Williamson, the writer, is trying to do with Darkseid, maybe trying to bring in a little bit more personality to the character, using this opportunity to have like a new incarnation of Darkseid. But I'm not caring about these characters. I'm not caring about the story. I usually love Jessica Cruz. I usually love Azrael. Cyborg's really dope. I don't really care that much about Starfire, but I'm actually more interested in that character now because of the Titan show over at the DC Universe app, which I really have been enjoying. But Justice League Odyssey, or J-Lo as I like to call it, just not really doing it for me right now. 3 issues in, and I don't know. Speaking of Joshua Williamson, though, Flash number 59, loving his run on Flash. Have loved it since he started on Rebirth. Great stuff, still building up from things that he laid out in the first issues of his Rebirth saga. Straight up, great stuff. I'm loving what's going on here. Barry's on a force quest now with Iris along his side, going across the world, trying to find these new forces. So you got the Speed Force, but now we get the Sage Force, the Steel Force, which we've already seen in Justice League, and the Strength Force, and now Barry is trying to find out more about these forces along with Iris and trying to find out where these forces now reside and in maybe which hosts. Some really cool ideas are put out into here. Basically what Williamson has been doing, especially in the last like 6 to 8 months of the Flash books, is kind of like doing a Jeff Johns Green Lantern on it, right? You remember when Jeff Johns came into Green Lantern, and it's really good, solid stuff, kind of rebuilding the grounding of Central City and Flash's world and the mythology and building up these characters, and then all of a sudden he just revealed all these new, like, the emotional spectrum, all these different colors of rings, and he made the Yellow Lanterns make even more sense, and the Sinestro Corps War, and then the Blackest Night, the Red Lanterns, all that stuff, right? That's what Williamson's doing with Flash right now. You could almost eventually see, in a way, a Speed Force Corps, or a Sage Force Corps, something like that. Not quite a Corps, but definitely a team, or definitely a host. Some interesting ideas going on in Flash right now. If you like what Jeff Johns did back with the emotional spectrum in Green Lantern not too long ago, I highly recommend Flash. I think it's been pretty good. Wonder Woman number 59 is here. So, G. Willow Wilson is now on Wonder Woman. We are all very excited for this. She is the creator of Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel. Love that character over at Marvel. Love her work on that title. 2 issues into Wonder Woman, though, I'm just not feeling it. The script is all right. It's very fast. It breezes right by. It doesn't really kind of hold on to you. You don't really quite, for me at least, it doesn't just quite like latch on to me afterwards. Didn't really think about it too much. The artwork by Gary Nord is very, very simple. Very rushed feeling. Not a lot to it. Just really not liking Wonder Woman right now. Still, just not liking that book. I don't know what needs to happen with Wonder Woman. But we need something really, really big to happen with Wonder Woman. And I was hoping it was going to be Wilson coming onto it, but so far, not really digging it that much. Terrifics number 10 is out this week. We have recently got news, I believe, that issue 14 is going to wrap this series up, or at least Jeff Lemire on the series. Jeff Lemire has decided he will no longer do work for hire. He's going to be focusing on creator-owned work, which I think is great because he's doing great work with books like Descender and Gideon Falls. Of course, Descender's over, but it's going into Ascender. Lots of good stuff, Black Hammer and whatnot. But the Terrifics has been a nice little fun tribute, not only to the Fantastic Four, which when this book started, we still did not have in the Marvel Universe, so we can't forget that, but also a nice tribute to the character of Tom Strong, which was co-created by Alan Moore. I love that character. I love the usage of that character, and here's some interesting things. Ultimately, though, I think the Terrifics hasn't quite lived up to the potential that it actually has as a series. I think if they would have had one visual direction for this series, it would have really worked well. And I think Doc Shaner, or Chenier, I think that was the visual style to go for with the Terrifics. That being said, Victor Bogdanovich does a decent job on this issue. It's fine. I wish this book had more of a consistent art style, right? But I don't know. The Terrifics is still kind of fun, and this is a nice little turning point into the story. Some like throwbacks to earlier issues and whatnot. So there you go. DC's Nuclear Winter Special. It's an 80-page giant. It's got 10 stories in it by a lot of cool talent. You got Steve Orlando. This is kind of neat. Instead of like doing your typical holiday special, they do this Nuclear Winter Special. So they all kind of are these short stories that deal with like post-apocalyptic type things, that some of them are a little bit of holiday themes to them, have a little bit of holiday themes to them. You got a Batman 666 story in here, so that's the Damian future where he's Batman after he sells his soul to the devil. That's cool. Mark Russell doing this cool little framing bit with Rip Hunter, my bad. Paul Dini and Jerry Ordway do a really nifty Firestorm story that's pretty cool. There's an awesome Aquaman story in there. Cecil Castellucci on Catwoman. Some really good art teams and some writers, but my favorite spotlight on this issue was the Superman 1 Million story by Steve Orlando and Brad Walker. Really did like it. This is a nice thing. It's like $10. It's not going to change your life, but if you want something meaty to have that's a different take, a more unique approach to the holiday comic book anthology special, this is definitely a winner. I did like it. But the Cursed Comics Cavalcade from like last month was way better. But that was still pretty cool. From Vertigo Comics, we got Hex Wives #2. Issue #1 I thought was pretty decent, nice setup. It's basically these witches back in the day, and this community of men finally get one over on the witches, and they brainwash them. They don't remember who they are, and now centuries later, they're just suburban housewives, right? And so this is about them living in this world of enslavement. It's got a lot of things to say. I really do like this book. I like the artwork. I like the writing. It's nice. It's brisk. It's got a great pace to it, an interesting concept. This is something that definitely sounds like it's going to become a pretty decent TV series one day, so maybe you want to get on Hex Wives right now. It's an interesting concept, interesting characters. 2 issues in, still got a long way to go to see how it's actually going to unfold, how it's going to keep gripping the imagination. But right now, I'm loving Hex Wives. I think it's doing some nifty stuff. Also, the Sandman universe rolls on right through over at Vertigo. Books of Magic #2, a very breezy book, very quick read, but I did like it. I like this story. I'm liking it. I think that we need to get a little bit more into Timothy Hunter. Who is he? We are taking for granted, I think, in this issue that people know who Tim Hunter is, right? Because people would read this book today and be like, who's this Harry Potter ripoff, right? Well, it's kind of almost the other way around a little bit. I would like to see a little bit more of a deeper focus on the character. There's little tidbits here and there, but maybe it just kind of breezes through a little too quickly. But we're only 2 issues in. We'll see what happens. But right now, Books of Magic, probably my favorite one from the Sandman universe stuff. But I definitely see that on subsequent readings, Lucifer and the Dreaming will probably be a little bit more dense, have a little bit more richness and meat to them than Books of Magic do, at least for now. We'll see what happens though, right? Let's jump over to Marvel. Dead Man Logan #1 is out here. This is basically the next issue of Old Man Logan. If you've been reading Old Man Logan by Ed Brisson, I'm loving it. I think it's great. You're going to love this. It's the very next issue. It pretty much starts right where issue 50, the last issue of Old Man Logan, left off. This is a 12-issue series that promises to bring an end to Old Man Logan. He's going to die. He's been slowly dying already in the comic book. Really like it though, and it also does work as a #1. Seriously, if you haven't been reading Old Man Logan, you can jump in on this. They're going to catch you up on everything. Basically, Old Man Logan has a list of people that he wants to kill so he can prevent his horrible future from happening. And he started this list when he came into the Marvel Universe, but he hasn't finished it, and now he needs to get back to it because he's gotten the news that maybe he's only got a year left to live. I'm loving this. The character of Old Man Logan, when it first got announced Old Man Logan's going to come into the Marvel Universe, we're like, whatever, who cares, right? Man, I've loved it. He's carved out a great place in the Marvel Universe for himself. Really like this book. Great artwork, I think, by Mike Henderson. Yes, Mike Henderson. Nolan Woodard on the coloring. Amazing stuff. I really thought this book was good. Dead Man Logan #1 was cool. Riri Williams, Ironheart #1. This book kind of came in under the radar. When Riri was first introduced over in the Bendis Iron Man series, she was a big deal. They promised lots of good things. She's been a character over in Champions for a while. Now she's finally got her own solo book, Ironheart, and it was really good. I really did like it. It is written by Eve Ewing with artwork by Kevin Lambranda and Luciano Vecchio. Really like the artwork. I think it's pretty solid. It's got a nice flow to it. It's hip, it's crisp, it's clean when it needs to be. It's got a nice sense of action to it as well. The character, her voice rings very true. It's very true to the spirit of the character that Bendis created, but taking it just a little bit further. Really like it. Some nice touches in the strip, in the story. Really dynamic artwork, like I said. Ironheart #1, thumbs up for me. I really did like it. Uncanny X-Men #3, because this is a weekly book now, at least for 10 or so issues, but I'm liking this story. It's really fun. I said last week that it feels like X-Men right now is taking all the best parts of the 90s X-Men and bringing it in. And some of the best parts of the other decades of X-Men stories that are awesome, like even 60s, but especially 70s and the 80s as well, right? Uncanny X-Men #3 was a real fun story that really sheds a light on what is kind of going on, who's really behind it, what's up with all this crazy multiple man stuff. I like the X-Men books when it's less focused on a certain team, but they send the right people after the right threats, and it all just comes together in some kind of big crazy mutantness. Right? That's what's going on with Uncanny X-Men. Really liking it. Brisson, Rosenberg, and Thompson are doing a great job with these characters, keeping this story big, making it feel fun, and it's, you know, a weekly book, and it's a really fun read. So, I don't know. Really liking Uncanny X-Men right now. Return of Wolverine #3 is here, because as one Wolverine dies, another one returns, and as long as it's going to take this cat to die, it's taking Wolverine twice as long to return. I'm not liking this story. I haven't liked anything involving the death of Wolverine, the hunt for Wolverine, or the return of Wolverine. I think it's been long and drawn out, and it's overwrought. Charles Soule, I'm just not digging his work on the character. Not liking Mr. Hot Hands Logan right now. Just don't like it. Declan Shalvey, the artist, is wasted on this book. You can feel that he just came in to kind of fill this in real quick because McNiven was running behind on his deadlines or something like that. Return of the Wolverine, though, I'm not feeling it. Amazing Spider-Man #10 wraps up a really cool story. This big heist story about the Thieves Guild stealing every single weapon and famous artifact from all the superheroes at once. It's a really fun story. You got to team up with Peter Parker and Felicia Hardy, the Black Cat. That's always a fun, exciting dynamic in the Spider-Man book. Humberto Ramos on the artwork, Nick Spencer on the scripting, doing a great job writing Spider-Man right now. That's a really cool, clever cover too, where the cover was stolen, right? Get it? Anyway, really did like this. Thought it was really fun. Nick Spencer's been killing on Spider-Man. I think he's doing a great job. Absolutely. SpiderGwen has some things out. There's some Spider-Girls out this week. Maybe a couple others, but I decided I would read Ghost Spider, right? SpiderGwen Ghost Spider #1 I thought was interesting enough. SpiderGwen has been thrown into another universe while SpiderGwen's going on, and she's stuck and she's trapped. So issue 2 basically elaborates on what kind of reality this is and what is going on with their Mary Jane and Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy. And it's pretty interesting, and I really like the little nifty story. But if this is just going to kind of be like her bouncing around for realities, things like that, it's interesting, but nothing really super deep about it. But it is a cool little alternate take on the Spider-Man story that I thought was neat. Fantastic Four #4 is here, and that's right. Didn't we just have one? That's right, because it was so late. It was delayed, right? So this is the one we were supposed to get this month. The one we got a couple weeks ago is the one we were supposed to get last month. Anyway, really cool stuff. Sarah Kelly, not on this issue. I don't think she's going to be on this issue for a few more, on this title again for a few more issues. But you got Stefano Caselli and Nico Leone coming in, stepping in, doing a very capable, decent job of taking this story. This is a nice little... Now that the Fantastic Four are back, now we got to get them back into the Marvel Universe. So it's a nice little fun story. There's this new team called the Fantastics. They are now operating out of the Baxter Building. A complete Fantastic Four ripoff. So you got the old and the new. Really kind of fun stuff. I'm a huge Fantastic Four fan. Have been almost my entire life. My favorite book, my favorite characters. And Dan Slott right now, he knows how to write these characters. He knows the type of story structures to use. All the characters, even Franklin and Valeria, just ring so true under the guidance of Dan Slott's writing. Anyway, Fantastic Four #4 is out this week, and as Fantastic Four is kicking back into gear and blazing a powerful... there's also like the Fate of the Future Foundation is in there, and that's kind of like... I'm kind of like torn about that a little bit. But anyway, as Fantastic Four starts again, Marvel 2-in-1 is going to end again. It would be nice to see this book continue on as a Thing-centric book or a Thing team-up book or just a cool little book spotlighting different characters and new creators that maybe never worked on the characters, new concepts, new ideas, doing something a little edgy, a little bit different here and there. But alas, not to be so. Now that the Fantastic Four is back, basically the point of Marvel 2-in-1, it's kind of null right now, right? So Chip Zdarsky, writer extraordinaire, who's been doing an amazing job on this title, wraps it all up with a Human Torch, Invisible Woman story about these, the brother-sister spending the day shopping together, coming to terms with the fact that it's basically about Johnny coming to terms with everybody lying to him. Ben lying to him, Reed and Sue lying to him. So it's all about that. It's about him growing up just a little bit about the stuff like that and helping the team grow up a little bit. But it also wraps up a lot of the dangling threads left over from Zdarsky's, it's just his whole stories, with the other lady, I can't remember her name right now, but she betrayed him and all that stuff. Anyway, thank you, Chip and company, for Marvel 2-in-1. It was a great placeholder for Fantastic Four. I wish it would continue on alongside Fantastic Four and be like a little sister book, like I said, but I'm just happy Fantastic Four is back. So Marvel 2-in-1 did its job, so There we go. Old Man Hawkeye, number 11, the penultimate issue. I'm loving this book so much. Ethan Sachs is doing a great job with scripting. It's basically Old Man Hawkeye. He's got to go and get revenge, right? And he's getting revenge on Zemo and beyond, and Bullseye's in it. And it's just been this great story. Kate Bishop, if you're an old school Thunderbolts fan, this is really going to be something exciting for you. I thought it was really cool. We finally get to Zemo. This is the penultimate issue of the 12-issue series, and unfortunately, it's Marco Cicchetto is not on the artwork, so it's Francisco Mobili, and it's cool, it's decent, it's all right, but man, we've gotten spoiled by Cicchetto's artwork. Now, of course, he's got a Daredevil run about to start with Chip Zdarsky, so that's exciting news, but aside from the art just really kind of throwing you off, I really feel like not having Cicchetto on this issue, we really missed a payoff. That's just how I feel. I think the art kind of weakened the impact of what this issue could have been. That's just me. Black Panther versus Deadpool number 2 is out this week. There is a new issue of Black Panther, by the way, in case you want to know. Black Panther versus Deadpool number 2, Daniel Kibblesmith. Really like him as a writer. Did that Lockjaw series I really liked. Started off the new Quantum and Woody series, which I thought was pretty cool. So Black Panther versus Deadpool number 1 I thought was pretty decent. Number 2 is still pretty decent. Not bad. I really like the artwork by Ricardo Lopez Ortiz. Really do like that. Do like the script. Deadpool's not overly obnoxious. Black Panther's still straight man 2, Wade Wilson's craziness. I'm liking it. I think it's cool. And there was something kind of appealing about seeing the zebra bit, and that's all I'm going to say. Star Wars Darth Vader number 24, the penultimate issue of Darth Vader. One more issue after this one. Everything is coming to an head. This is a badass issue. Like, all you got to do apparently to write a good Darth Vader book is just have Darth Vader be just ultimately badass no matter what happens. And there you go. Charles Soule's doing a great job. This is my favorite comic book by Charles Soule. I really do like it. Common Coley's artwork is amazing. Really do like it. It's brutal, it's violent, and it's been an interesting little story. This whole run's basically like Vader Year 1. So, there you go. I think it's cool. From Vault Comics, we got These Savage Shores, number 2. An amazing comic book. So good, so elegant, so rich, so textured. Amazing. Ram V is the writer, and the illustrator is Sumit Kumar with Vittorio Astoni on the coloring, Aditya Bidikar on the lettering. This book is just a well-designed masterpiece. The layouts, the compositions, the artwork, the coloring, the texture, everything about this. And there's texture in the story as well. There's lots of details. It's ultra dense, lots of information, lots of new characters. After the crazy events of issue number 1, it gets crazier. This issue is straight up there with it. It's got a nice like 9-panel grid type structure, but it feels very free for something that's really, like, usually 9-panel grids are very restricted feeling, right? Not here. Absolutely. Kumar does a great job with the composition, with the flow of the story. It's amazing. It's great. It's basically a vampire/monster horror story set in the 1700s in India, and that's when the East India Trading Company was trying to come in and do their thing. So you throw some vampires and other monsters into it and see what happens. Really cool story. Great characters. Brilliant. Beautiful composition and artwork. These Savage Shores, number 2 from Vault Comics. Seems like Vault can't do too much wrong this year. The Warning number 1 is a new one from Image Comics. It's got some decent artwork, but the story is very, very brisk. Very, very, very brisk. Very quick. Very just, I don't know. This felt like the first 5 pages of something. This felt like the setup for something, but not a good setup. I don't know. I mean, the setup is decent, but it didn't really have enough to, like, chunk me in. So at, what is this, a $3.99 comic book price? Yeah, $4, and I get, like, the first sentence of a story. I don't know. I'm just going to say I didn't really like The Warning. There you go. Man-Eaters number 3 is out, though. I did like this book. I loved it. I thought this book is so fun. You could think about what this book is about, and it's basically about this world where women, once they start their periods, they have the potential to turn into a werecat and just start killing people, right? So obviously it's got some social commentary, and it could seem like it would be like uber preachy or like really heavy-handed, but this book is really fun. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It's got a point, it's got a message, but it's really, really tongue-in-cheek with it. Its approach, it's really good. Chelsea Kane's dialogue is just snappy and poppy. The artwork by Kate Nimzik is amazing. Rosenberg coloring is amazing. It's a very experimental book when it needs to be. It's absolutely cute and adorable when it needs to be, and it's very sinister and threatening when it needs to be. Man-Eaters, number 3. This is something special. Redneck number 17 is out, and it's a wedding issue. We pick up basically 10 years after the events of the last story arc. Really liking Donny Cates' world that he's building with Redneck. This book has gotten better and better as the characters have gotten more richer and more filled in, and the world has gotten more filled in with a little bit more complexity. Esther's artwork, really cool stuff. Very simple, but every brushstroke is filled and brimming with purpose for this book. I really like these characters, really like the direction of the story. He's setting us up for something big coming. He really is. Donny Cates is doing some great work. Redneck number 17 is no exception. From Aftershock Comics, we got Beyonders number 4, Paul Jenkins' little cool conspiracy theory type book. Really like this book. Really cool story. Wesley St. Clair's artwork, really cool. Like I said, just like Esther's over here on Redneck, every stroke means something. It may not be the prettiest image you've ever seen, but every stroke has a purpose. And I really like the artwork. I really like the story. Very interesting. And there's this cool code that's throughout it as well. And if you're a code-breaking type person, you can take the code and figure it out. I'm not going to be like that. But other than that, I just think the story's great. I do like the artwork. I think it's really cool. If you like conspiracy theories, ancient aliens, why is the pyramids like this? If you like any of that kind of stuff, I think you'll like Beyonders. You should give it a chance. Absolutely. And finally, let's talk about Hellboy. There's a new Hellboy book out today. Hellboy and the BPRD, 1956, the first part of a mini-series. These Hellboy and the BPRD series, they don't quite have the impact of a traditional Mignola Hellboy book, but they are fun and they're really good. And this seriously has one of the best sequences of like 4 or 5 pages I've ever seen, and it just broke my heart. It broke my heart. You'll know what I'm talking about. Otherwise, this is a lot of setup, a lot of taking what's come before in this series and setting up where the direction is going for the future. But seriously, this is kind of set up with different artists. There's like 3 or 4 different stories. That first story, it broke my heart. It broke my heart. What an amazing, impactful comic book to read, where just a handful of pages in a book will just like stick with you and just make you feel something, right? Anyway, Hellboy and the BPRD, 1956. That's out this week. So that's what I read. That's what I thought about. There's more out there. What did you read? What do you think about it? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please do like, share, comment, and subscribe. We appreciate everything. Join us at popculturephilosophers.com for podcasts and a whole lot more. And you can help support this channel and everything we do, if you like what we do, at patreon.com/PCP. So thank you guys so much for rocking with us. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups. Keep reading. I forgot what I was supposed to say. Keep reading.